this is Heidi from Garden Crossings, and I thought I would take you for a walk through the greenhouses and just show you some of the annuals right now that are showing color. So as I've stated before in some of my other videos, when we're planting our annuals, every 2 weeks we plant like a fresh new batch. That way, you know, we start shipping in late March through, let's say, the end of June for annuals. No matter when your ship date is, you're always going to get a fresh batch of annuals that will be shipped to your door. So let's take a look at some of the colors that are going on right now in the greenhouse. Right here, right now, we're pretty much looking at foliage color. There's a lot of, these are pretty much a good mixture of all of our different coleuses. So you can see there's reds and yellows and blacks and pinks and oranges, all different kind of color of coleus. The Color Blaze series of coleus, these are great for full sun to full shade locations. And to be honest, the more sun they get, the more intense and vibrant the colors are. Another plant that's kind of a unique, different plant I probably don't talk about much is the Kufia fairy dust. It's a very dainty plant, something you could use as a filler in your hanging baskets and combinations. Just a really nice kind of purpley pink color. Just really a nice dainty plant. Next, we have our sweet potato vines, and the sweet potato vines, they come in about four different colors. There's like a chartreuse, a black, a red, and then one called tricolor, which is kind of a green, silver, pink coloration. And with the sweet potato vines, there's a lot of different textures going on, from more of a bigger, thicker type leaf to a really lacy, airy type leaf. So a lot of colors in the sweet potato vine family. These can be used in hanging baskets or containers as a spiller, or they also make a great landscape plant just to create a nice mounding mass of color. So a lot of different uses for the sweet potato vines. As we head down through the greenhouse here, we're going to come across some of our lantana. One thing I'm going to point out is you are going to see a lot of gaps and spaces going on. That's because we are currently shipping out of this greenhouse and have already shipped some out. But lantana are a great plant for dry areas. Hummingbirds love them. If you're somebody who doesn't always water super great, lantana are kind of more of a forgiving type annual. They come in shades of orange, yellow, pinks, reds, and then kind of a mixture of all of them on some of the varieties. So it's really nice if you like that bicolor look, or if you want a straight color look. Lantana really have a color for almost anybody. They're also fragrant. You're either going to love or hate the smell. Some of us say it smells great, others say it smells nasty. So that's just going to be a personal preference. I think they smell kind of nice myself. Here we have some of our phlox intensia. So we've got the intensia purple, intensia red hot, and then there was also some phlox intensia white. One thing I do want to point out is sometimes when the plants start to get too tall, we do come through and trim them. So you can see here in this block, these plants were just trimmed this weekend because they were just getting too tall and floppy. So we trim them back, and what that does is it allows for them to fill out again, get nice and full and even more branched, which in turn leads to more flowers. So if you do receive plants that look like they've been trimmed, they probably have been, and we're doing that for a very important reason, is we want it to fill out and get nice and thickened up so you're getting a nice well-branched plant. Other plants we have are the Surefire Begonias. We have Surefire Red and Surefire Pink here. I can tell this is a pretty popular plant because there's a lot of holes and a lot of them are gone. But the Surefire Begonias are good for full sun to part shade locations. And they're just a plant that really does a big job as far as filling out a lot of real estate. So if you put a couple of them in a pot, they're going to get really nice and big. So a new plant for us this year is the Fuchsia autumnale. And this is a really nice foliage plant. You can see how it's got shades of yellow and orange. And then it does also get a nice flower on it in the summer. But I think for this plant here, the foliage is almost just as exciting as the flower. And next to it is the Wandering Jew, which is another great foliage plant with the striping purple and green, a nice trailer for in hanging baskets as well as in combination planters. The next stop here are some sun patiens, and you can see some of them are starting to flower. Sun patiens are a great plant for hanging baskets as well as in the ground planting. One thing I do want to point out with sun patiens is they are an annual that don't love fertilizer. So if you plant sun patiens in your ground or in your baskets, this is the one plant and probably the only plant I'm going to recommend that you hold off on fertilizing on. Because when you do fertilize sun patiens, a lot of times what happens is they'll drop their buds, lose their flowers, and it takes time for them to recycle again. So they do like their water, but they don't like their fertilizer. Here's another batch of the Surefire begonias. So these are a little bit younger crop, and you can just see the massive color, the pinks and the reds. And can you just imagine planting this in mass in your landscape and having this gorgeous just mound of color? So a great plant for many applications. If you're somebody who is more of a shade gardener and needs some shade options, we have some Trinia here. So we've got Trinia Grapelicious, Trinia White Linen, Trinia Pink is out here, and then also Trinia Midnight. So this is more of a mounding, trailing type annual for containers or hanging baskets. Just kind of a neat little look to them, and something that you could mix in with other shade annuals if you wanted to create a combination planter. Another great plant for shade is the polka dot plant, or Hypoestes. We've got white, pink, and red, and you can see these are a great foliage plant. Mix them in with a little bit of Diamond Frost or Diamond Mountain and have kind of a really cool bicolored planter. Here's another great crop of lantana. So this is Lantana Luscious Golden Gate. That's the deeper orangey yellow. And then Luscious Citron. Luscious Citron is the lighter color lantana, and that is a new lantana for 2022. I did a trial of that in my garden last summer in the ground, and it was gorgeous. It made like big, beautiful mounds that were about 2 foot wide by about 18 or so inches tall. So a nice, great mounding plant for in the landscape. So we just made the corner in the greenhouse, and we're into the next little section here. And now I want to show you some of the grasses that we grow. So we have a lot of different grasses. This first one here is Prince Tut. It's a little bit more of a compact grass. Gets about 3 foot tall or so. A nice thriller in annual combinations. Next we have the the King Tut grass. Those can get about 4 to 5 or 6 foot depending on where you live. A nice big statement type grass if you're looking for something big to put in your containers. Next we have the Begonia Pegasus, and that's a great, I use it as a thriller in my containers, and then I mix it in with some begonias and stuff. So this is more for like a part shade type location. Next is Baby Tut with its beautiful little umbrella looking tufts. And then we've got the Fireworks grass, which you can see there's a little bit of pink starting to show. The more sun the fireworks grass gets, the more red it displays. Then we have Pennisetum rubrum, which is just like the nice kind of burgundy-ish looking grass, followed by Pennisetum Skyrocket, which is the white and the green. All of these will make great thrillers for container combinations. Next we have Pennisetum Vertigo, which is a much thicker, strappier type foliage. This one can get quite large. Again, another great plant both for in a large container or in the landscape. And a really unique foliage plant, I think, is the Colocasia coffee cups. So right now the leaves don't look super big, but once they get into a nice large container, these leaves can get approximately 2 foot wide by about, or 2 foot long by about 18 or so inches wide. So a really unique plant to put in the landscape. And as you look at it, you can see, like, you know, coffee cup, you can see how they kind of are holding the water in there, and as it starts to get heavy, it just kind of dumps over. So kind of a fun little plant to put in the landscape. We just are also coming across another block of lantana, and here you can see some maybe different colors than what we saw in the other greenhouse. We've got Luscious Marmalade and Pina Colada, Citrus, Grape Punch. I love Grape Punch. or grape, luscious grape. It smells like grapes. So I think that's kind of a fun one just because it's got a little bit different scent than some of the other lantanas. Then you've got Berry Blend, which is that nice yellow, orange, pink mix of color. And then Bananarama, which is just a nice straight yellow color. So this area in the greenhouse, I think, is what's really like standing out most to me as I've walked past for the last week is our begonia area. So begonias, I'm going to be honest, I don't do a lot with begonias in my garden. I don't have a lot of shade, and it's just not necessarily my go-to plant. Don't ask me why, I don't know. It's just not. But I do love the begonias. So I thought, you know what, let's take a look at them and show you some of the different colors here. I think maybe I just need more shady spots in my yard and I don't have them. But one I really love, starting off here, this is the Double Delight Primrose. Beautiful yellow blooms with just a little blush hint to them. And yeah, nice, great habit. So if you're looking for a yellow, that Double Delight Primrose is quite outstanding. Next we have the Double Up series. So Begonia Double Up Red and Double Up White is planted next to it. These are just little begonia flowers, but they're fully double. So they're just little clusters of red or of white with that nice deep dark black, near black foliage. We've used these out in the landscape actually here at the greenhouse, and they've done wonderful in a part sun location. The next couple we have here are part of the Funky series. So we have Funky Orange and Funky Pink and Funky Scarlet. And you can see here these have a little bit kind of a octopusy sort of habit or flower form to them, with a lot of the tiny narrow petals and many of them. So really this is a nice kind of a trailing begonia that you could plant in your hanging baskets if you're looking for something to just trail over and kind of a wispy, airy look in the wind. Next, we've got the beautiful block here of the Begonia Illumination Apricot shades. And you can see here apricot shades could be anywhere from yellow to orange to even a little bit of a blush pink. So quite a nice array of color when you're looking at the apricot shades. Next, we have a little batch here of the Nonstop Fire, and they're going to be more of a yellow is going to come through, but you're also going to get that yellow with the orange on the tips. So you can see there's a little variation to with fire, but a nice great mix and combination of color. The next two are Nonstop Mocha Scarlet and Mocha Yellow. The mocha indicates the dark foliage, so this is near black foliage with these beautiful large scarlet and yellow blooms. A lot of people I know when they're planting these nonstop begonias, they like to mix a couple different colors together in their hanging basket to get a lot of colors going on. The next few are also part of the Nonstop series, but these are more our green foliage. So we've got Nonstop Orange, Nonstop Red, Nonstop White, and Nonstop Yellow. And again, if you like to mix your begonias, here you've got 4 colors, all with that beautiful green foliage. Put them together in a container or a hanging basket for your shade garden. And big flowers with a lot of impact. We have another little batch here of the Surefire begonias. We've got Surefire Red and Surefire Pink. So as I started off in the beginning of the video, I was telling you about every 2 weeks or so, we're doing another round of planting. And so I think in the video so far, we've already seen 3 of the rounds. Some of them are bigger than others, so it just depends on kind of when their ship weeks are. We start off with smaller amounts in the beginning, larger amounts for our middle ship weeks, and then kind of scale it back again as we get towards, you know, like June or so. So that pretty much takes us through just a nice big mass of begonia color. We have other blocks of begonias throughout, but this is just one area where they're pretty much all side by side, so we can kind of see the comparison of one plant to the other. I hope you've enjoyed this little snippet of out in the greenhouse, just showing you some of the color going on right now. We'll be doing another video heading over to the Petunia, the Supertunia, Super Bells, and Super Bina house, because there's a lot of color out there as well. But I thought we'd start off with bigger variety of plants, and we'll do the petunias and all that in another video. So stay tuned, more color coming to you soon.